What's up, guys? Dido Bala here. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to our second series, which is on making rational decisions under stress. So, this is part two, and we are going to focus on using a perspective taking strategy called worst case scenario, best case scenario, and most likely case scenario. So, how does it work? Think about when you're facing tough decisions to make and you are in stressful situations. It's really useful to go through one, what's the worst that I think could happen? Two, what's the best that could happen? And three, what's the most likely thing that could happen? And the reason why it's good to go through those step by step is because your brain, your stress center, is always focused on finding what is wrong first. It always goes to the worst case scenario. So it's important to allow your brain to go through that. Because if you want to skip that, just go to what's the most likely, your brain won't let you do that. So when you get news or somebody says, let's talk, typically your brain just goes like, oh, it's all the bad stuff. So let's practice this. Let's say, for example, you are a senior who applied to like 6 colleges, maybe like 3 Ivy League schools, one that you kind of really want to go to, and 2 that are kind of safe, but you still hope you're going to get in. And then when it's time to hear back from the schools, you don't hear anything, right? For some odd reason, you haven't heard from any school at all. How do you feel? And this happened to many students that I know. First thing, allow yourself to go to the worst case scenario. Bam, let's go. Let's be creative. Worst case scenario, my life is over. No school wanted me. My application was so bad that they think I should just stay in high school for 2-3 more years. And because of that, I'm never going to be able to have a life. What was I thinking? I don't know what to do. My life is over, right? So go through that. Let your brain go through that. But then stop at that point. You just went to step 1, worst case scenario, but then make yourself go through a best case scenario and be as positive as you can and add some humor to it. So let's go. Wow, they haven't gotten back to me because they love my application so much that all 6 schools are going to give me full ride scholarships. And in fact, when they get back to me with all these offers, they're going to fight for me. They're all going to outbid themselves and say, I'm going to give you more money for this, more for that, more for this, more for that, just because they want me. I'm going to be one of the strongest applicants they've ever had in the history of their schools. So as you're thinking about it that way, and you see I'm smiling too, that is also highly unlikely, but it's the best case scenario. After you've gone through those 2 steps, this is kind of a de-escalating your feelings, right? After you go through those 2 steps, now your thinking brain is actually ready to be rational. And then you can think, well, I know that we had more applicants at each school than usual. And in fact, when I think about it, it is not unusual that schools take a little longer than anticipated. It is very likely that if I just wait a little longer, nothing would have changed, and I am going to get into at least 1 school out of those 6. And the truth is, even if I don't get into the top choices, I know enough adults around me who did not go to their top choice schools, did not get into Ivy League schools, and still had a really successful career. So that means that rationally, the most likely case scenario is I'm going to be okay. So those 3 steps are important. Think about a different example. Let's say you submitted your work to your teacher and she said, okay, you're going to have your essay graded by Monday. And then Monday comes, you don't hear back. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So a few days after the time has passed, you start panicking and thinking, what is going on? Why hasn't she graded my essays yet? Let's go. Step 1, worst case scenario. Okay, this is it. It means that my essay was so bad that she doesn't even know how to give me feedback. She's probably thinking about the best way to communicate to me that really the quality was just subpar and there's so much work to do. Let's go even deeper. Maybe she's even thinking about, I'm going to call my friends who are teachers and show them, look at this essay, guys. This is just so bad. Like, what am I going to do with that? So allow all those negative thoughts to come because, again, you allow your amygdala, your stress center, to release that stress. It's important. You release that stress. But then you must go to step 2, best case scenario. Let's think about it. Okay, she kept my essay because it was the best one in the school. She's never read an essay as good as this one. And she's already thinking about how she's going to publish the essay, brag about how strong of a writer I am. And she's just a little lost and is thinking about the best words to use to communicate to me how awesome my essay was. That's why this is going on, right? Maybe not what's happening. But again, by that point, because you've allowed the stress to be released by going through the worst case scenario, and you've allowed your optimism to play out and added some humor to the scenario, and you were really, really positive, you've allowed your brain to distress a little bit. And now you can use your rational brain and just think, it's been 3 days. These are stressful times. My teacher is a human being. And just like I get overwhelmed, she might get overwhelmed too. So it's just possible that with all the essays that were turned in, she's just slower than she expected. And she would eventually get to it. So when you think that way, it allows you to allow your brain to go through those processes, but ultimately you can make a rational decision. So those are the 3 steps you want to follow. Worst case scenario, best case scenario, and then most likely case scenario. Next time we are going to talk about how to practice those enough and ahead of time to start rewiring your brain so that you can make sure you make rational decisions, especially under stress when it matters. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions. See you next time. Yo.